Melon. So in this video I'm going to discuss the very exciting five-dimensional society and what information has come to me from the Pleiadians, being a Pleiadian starseed and an awakening to a reality that exists beyond this material construct of this world. So as I was talking about in fourth dimension, that is when you will experience a feeling of interconnectivity. You are able to reach a more state of understanding and peace with one another. And this is where systems start to fall away from people and they start to leave the old systems behind, starting to gravitate towards new thought and new systems that are going to encompass their more open and broader perspective of things, of the universe and of of the world. And what happens in 5D, as I can show you here, we just continue on growing. So from 4D, people are out of the cube. They're out of the box now. They're thinking outside of the box. They literally are able to expand their minds and think in ways that they haven't before. And that is the civilization that we are in right now. And so it's the civilization of allowing new information to come in, new perspectives to come forward, ways of feeling unity with one another and interconnectivity with one another. Things are starting to be able to be seen easily that you wouldn't normally be able to see on a very material level of awareness. So this is where aliens are coming in as far as seeing UFOs, having fairy sightings, seeing ghosts more, things that of that nature that are kind of poking through the veil because we are stepping outside of the box, literally, society is. And the old systems are no longer serving us. So in 5 dimension, in the 5th dimension, this is where it gets really fun because as you can see, in 5th dimension, it makes this beautiful tesseract where it's literally it's this never-ending connection of the cubes that are extending more and more outside of themselves, and the lines are able to connect to all points, and all points are souls, so all the lines connect to all souls. And this is where you have a civilization such as the Elven ones, or the Pleiadians, or Arcturians, or Sirians, where you have this very peaceful civilization where they live completely harmoniously with one another and harmoniously in their environment that they live in. No longer do they want to harm where they live. They now understand the interconnection between the environment that they live in is a living, breathing organism, and it reflects a state of being that they're at. And then you have also the awareness of one another, so much so that you feel so interconnected. Your empathy is very well developed at this stage. So these beings in the 5th dimension are highly developed in their sensory abilities. At this point, they have telepathy. They have empathic abilities where they can actually literally feel the feelings or emotions of one another. They're not just reading vibes. They're not just reading energy, which happens at 4th dimension. They actually know and experience one another's thoughts and one another's feelings. So there's this desire to make one another feel good. So things become very, very open as far as the perspectives of one another become very open, and diversity is something that is cherished and is seen as a unique aspect of the divine. So you'll have souls that are unique and are different from you, but you will also be able to recognize immediately It's already born in a being of fifth dimensional thought, that they are already part of you. You are part of them. So you live out your physical reality in this state of awareness where you're living completely harmoniously with your environment. So it's beautiful. No one destroys it. It's green and lush and full of life and is vibrant and is more vibrant than you can imagine because it's healthy. It's healthy. There's nothing. There's no toxic environment that is destroying the ecosystems around, and so that environment is very healthy. And then you also have systems in place where they truly represent the values of the people. So you have the wise councils, you have the wise guardians, and the wise masters and teachers that actually are in charge of society, and not in a judicial matter. They're not trying to govern over others, because there's no need for laws anymore. People have already become sovereign over themselves, that they have controlled their darker desires. They have controlled the the feelings to hurt another. They have controlled the feelings to steal, to take more than what was given to them. Um, so there is no need for laws anymore. It's based on a mutual understanding and the honor code, that you are just an honorable being that is going to respect another, and you are going to live out your existence in honor, and you are going to align yourself to those morals and those values that your civilization really upholds as true and sacred. And this is the elven beings. They withhold themselves at an honorable nature in which they would not hurt one another. And if they do, they would always see immediately the wrong in what they have done. But it's very rare that you would ever have an elven one hurt another elven one, unless it is done with intention, and that is the journey of that particular soul. And what ends up happening is they will be taken, or they take themselves into the where the wise counsel is, where these masters and teachers are, and the guides that have lived many different incarnations and are older souls that can help and reflect the desires of the civilization. So that individual, that soul, is then taken in front of this council, not as like a judge. It's not really a judgment. It's a discussion. It's a respectful discussion and discourse to see, does this soul need to learn in a different environment? Maybe it needs to go back into another world or into another environment that is going to bring more appreciation to where it is right now. So you have these souls that are going to voluntarily leave if they feel that that environment no longer aligns with them, and before they even harm another. So it is complete respect, living completely in the honor code. No one steals from each other. Everything is open and free to share and to enjoy what each other create. So there's no stealing, and everything is open and available, and information is shared freely. There's no hidden information. You don't have systems that are going to lock away scrolls and things like that that are found throughout history. No, everything is in a beautiful open library, many different libraries that are filled all over the planets, and the civilizations that live there are able to go and learn as their soul wants to learn, and to learn about the cosmos. And education system is so different in the sense that they don't learn just the basic fundamentals of mathematics and language. They actually go deeper into the reasons of why a soul is here, and what they are to do, and how history can correlate to their soul growth, and how mathematics is used to create the universe, and how music and language and all of these are all part of the divine plan to unfold and to bring unity eventually, for people to know one another and to be able to communicate to one another. And the whole point is to reach that connection with one another as beings. So education is something that we can't really imagine right now. And um, as a teacher in fourth dimension right now, I struggle against it because um, the system of education that we have is not teaching our students what they truly need in order to be successful and fully healthy and happy individuals. So the education that you get in 5D is more on an emotional, spiritual base in order to have an older soul actually then guide a younger soul into the transition where they don't have to learn all of the painful lessons of going through suffering. I mean, you would never have teenage suicide. You wouldn't have that because those children growing into that civilization would already be instilled with the knowledge to know that their soul needs to experience things and needs to learn things, and you would have an older soul that would be a guide, and that's what a teacher would be. It wouldn't just be an occupation. It would actually be a soul path. It would be a soul path, a master, a guide to help the younger souls learn and to bring them healing and to bring them onto a path that is going to help them move forward in their soul evolution when they get stuck themselves and can't find the light themselves. Then that's when a guide or a teacher soul will help that younger soul. And that's what a five-dimensional society starts to look like. Everything is harmonious, everything is respected and honored, and the beings live in this state of they are in control of their own emotions, their own desires. They have their fun, they party, they also are able to have sex and reproduce and enjoy making a family together, and there's an idea of love is shared a little bit more freely. There is still the idea of twin flames and soulmates, absolutely, because these are souls that you meet in order to help you in your soul growth, and your twin flame is really it's the person you meet in your last incarnation to completely balance you, and is that other part of your yin to your yang that you need in order to have reached that soul completion process. So you still have that in these societies, but you can love a partner and it's not dramatic in the way that it ends. I mean, you know, you don't have an ex like slashing your tires as you would in this reality. You just wouldn't, because there's a respect, there's a knowledge knowing that our time has come. We're ending this now together, and we're going to move on, and we're going to experience new opportunities. And your lifespans are much longer, so there is more opportunity to learn and to grow and to experience new adventures. So it's really exciting, and we are moving into five-dimensional, five density, through the help of advanced souls and extraterrestrials that are helping to bring forth this energy. And let's face it, it's the divine plan, because the divine plan of the Creator was always to expand a species, always to move a species forward into higher echelons of thought and consciousness. And eventually it gets to a point where it can no longer grow anymore, and then everything gets called back, and then creation starts over again. So we are in such exciting times. I'd like to talk about sixth dimension and seventh dimension. I'm going to have to do a little bit further research on it just to make sure, and I'm going to have to really do some meditation and some prayer work in order to receive the information and the download that I want to have to be able to share with others. But I hope that this gives you a visual representation. I had somebody comment about, oh, there are 11 dimensions and things like that. There's so much information about different dimensions. It's hard to quantify right now, and I live on I live in balance of logic and emotion. So anything that I present on my channel, I have to have some kind of backup, some kind of source. Even though intuitively I get this information and I feel this information very strongly, I also wanted to show it on a physical level of what we understand about physics, of showing, the point of singularity, and then the line, and then we have the line and the height, and then we have volume. So I wanted to show that logical progression and how it correlates to the different chakras, the different levels of consciousness, and ultimately the different levels of reality and dimensions that are experienced as a whole species. So it's very exciting. You know, I think when you get to this level of understanding, what happens is you just have more appreciation for being alive, because you realize that you yourself are like a tesseract, where your soul just keeps expanding and opening up, and there's new doorways that open up for you, and there's new avenues to learn from, and it's just an incredible experience. And I'm having so much fun. I guess I wanted to make a channel and have people join me, and to let other souls know that when they're going through this state of transitioning from 3D to fourth dimension into the fifth dimension, we are all trying to move to the fifth dimension together, and it's kind of a subtle movement, but it's definitely happening, and you can sense it, you can feel it, and this is why we are in war, and this is why we have a lot of people that are very upset with the organizations and the systems that we have in place, and there's this revolutionist spirit that is going on right now in order to take down the old systems, and what we may find is that we won't have to physically take down the systems. It's not going to have to be the French Revolution where we storm in and take everybody by physicality, but it's going to be a consciousness revolution, and then really just the old systems will just naturally fall away. If they do not naturally fall away, we'll cross that bridge when we come to it, and we'll know what to do as a group of people. But right now, what's happening? It's the gathering. It's really just the gathering. The fourth dimension, you have a lot of people. I said the majority. I do feel it's about like maybe 65–70% of people that are in the fourth dimension. There's just a few that I just see that kind of hang back with the leaders, and there are a few that are still stuck in kind of the archaic ways of doing things and seeing things and feeling this division with other people, and that separation with other people. They're still they're very stubborn on that, but I would say that it's not the majority. It's not, and so it's exciting times indeed to see that switch, and I don't know how many years it will take, but we are heading into the fifth dimension, and this is where society really truly blossoms, and where we live with nature harmoniously, and we live like the elves of Tolkien, and complete respect and harmony with nature and with one another. So, Han and Lei for watching, and I hope to see you on the next video.